The richest person on your street is probably driving a car you would forget within 10 seconds of seeing it. Not because they can't afford better, because better, for them, is invisible. In 2026, the ultimate flex is not a logo. It is the simple, almost eerie ability to walk through a crowded room and register as nobody at all. Today, you will see why that invisibility is not modesty. It is strategy. And once you understand the strategy, you will never look at a beat-up sedan the same way again. Let me start with the idea that changes everything once you actually absorb it. Wealth used to be a signal. Now it is a liability. That sounds like a contradiction, but it is closer to a law of the modern world. For decades, the entire luxury industry was built on one simple transaction. You paid extra so that strangers would know what you paid. The logo did the talking. The badge on the hood did the talking. The whole point of the purchase was that someone else would notice. That world is dying, and it is dying fast. What replaced it is quieter, harder to spot, and far more expensive to imitate. The new elite are not hiding their money because they are ashamed of it. They are hiding it because showing it now costs more than it earns. Every visible dollar invites a cost you cannot see coming, and the smartest people alive figured that out years before the rest of us caught on. Here is where the shift actually shows up. Search interest in terms like old money style, quiet luxury, and stealth wealth has surged dramatically over the past few years. Different phrases, same message. People are becoming more interested in blending in than standing out. And here's the part that should really make you sit up. This is not just a style preference. It is outperforming the alternative in cold, hard numbers. Companies categorized as quiet luxury outperformed their logo-heavy, loud competitors by 23 percentage points in stock performance. Read that twice. The brands built around restraint are beating the brands built around attention in the market with real money on the line. Quiet is not just safer. Quiet is winning. So why would anyone with real money deliberately choose to look average? The first answer is the one nobody wants to say out loud, and it is the darkest one. Visibility has become a security risk, and the data on this is not theoretical anymore. In 2025 and into 2026, a wave of what security researchers now call wrench attacks swept through the wealthy and the newly wealthy alike. Crypto millionaires were tracked down, held for ransom, and in one case in France, a father had a finger severed by kidnappers to force his son to pay. Coinbase suffered a data breach that exposed the home addresses of nearly 70,000 customers, instantly turning a database leak into a physical safety threat for tens of thousands of families. The pattern investigators keep repeating is almost identical every time. The victim posted the car. The victim posted the watch. The victim posted the vacation, geotagged in real time, and somewhere in that feed, a stranger built a map. This is not only happening to crypto whales anymore, it has crept upward into boardrooms. But the deeper change isn't just security, it's culture. 40 years ago, looking successful opened doors. Today, looking too successful can create friction before you even speak. Social media, searchable records, smartphone cameras, and constant comparison have quietly changed the cost of being visibly wealthy. Billionaires and senior executives are now spending real money to disappear. Full-time protection packages for high-profile individuals commonly run from $500,000 to over $2 million a year. And that number climbs fast once travel security and cyber defense get added in. One tech CEO's personal security bill was disclosed at $23.4 million in a single year. Let that number sink in. Being visibly, obviously rich is no longer just a style choice. For a growing number of people, it is a line item. And it is an expensive one. So the truly wealthy have started doing the math on attention the same way they do the math on everything else. Modern millionaires increasingly treat privacy as a financial asset rather than a personality trait. They have realized that every visible dollar is a small, ongoing tax. A tax on your safety, a tax on how salespeople treat you, a tax on how targeted you become the moment a stranger clocks what you're worth. And like every other tax, the smartest people alive are simply finding a legal, quiet way to avoid paying it. Think about what a logo actually does once you strip away the marketing. It is a broadcast. It tells a valet, a landlord, a mechanic, a stranger on the street exactly how much they might be able to extract from you before you notice. Flaunting a $5,000 coat does not just cost $5,000. It costs you every markup, every price quote, every social interaction that quietly recalibrates once your net worth walks into the room. The invisible rich understood this before anyone gave it a name. If nobody can price you, nobody can overcharge you. Anonymity is not just safety. It is a discount on the rest of your life. Before we go further, if this is reshaping how you think about wealth, subscribe and stick around. I break down the quiet, unglamorous side of real money every single week, and the next part of this video is where the psychology gets genuinely uncomfortable. So let's keep going. Now here is where it gets personal, because this pattern shows up just as clearly in ordinary neighborhoods as it does among billionaires with private security teams. Picture two people living 4 houses apart on the exact same street. Derek drives a leased SUV he cannot quite afford, wears a watch he financed over 24 months, and posts every trip the moment it happens. Everyone on his street assumes Derek is doing extremely well. Derek is, in fact, 1 bad month away from a serious problem, and somewhere out there, his own digital trail has already told several strangers exactly when his house sits empty every summer. Priya, 4 doors down, drives a 10-year-old Honda, has never posted a single photo from inside her house, and quietly owns 3 rental properties and a 7-figure portfolio nobody on the street has ever heard about. Derek looks like the target. Priya isn't one, because there is nothing to target. Nobody has ever been robbed for a car they didn't know you owned. That is the entire logic of stealth wealth compressed into 2 neighbors. The performance itself is the risk. The absence of performance is the shield. Now look at how this plays out at the very top of the wealth ladder, because the pattern does not change, it just gets more extreme. One of the most visible tech billionaires alive has spent the last several years dressing almost identically every single day. Plain t-shirts, the same gray hoodie. Nothing that photographs as luxury, even though the man could buy entire industries. That is not an accident, and it is not laziness. It is a deliberate, calculated decision to make his day-to-day presence boring enough that it stops being news. When your face is already public, the only remaining lever left to pull is making your lifestyle forgettable. Old money families in Europe figured this out a century ago with tweed and quiet tailoring. The new digital elite are relearning the exact same lesson, just with hoodies instead of blazers. Here is the trap hiding underneath all of this, and it catches even people who think they are being careful. Digital footprint is not just what you post. It is the pattern behind what you post. A single photo means little. A predictable weekly gym check-in, a recurring vacation location, a routine visible across months of posts, that is not content anymore. That is a schedule, freely handed to anyone patient enough to notice it. Security consultants who work with wealthy families recommend delaying vacation posts, avoiding real-time geotags, and keeping routines less predictable. The goal isn't secrecy for its own sake. It's reducing unnecessary exposure while enjoying the same life. This is why so many quietly wealthy families have started treating privacy the way earlier generations treated their investment portfolio, as an asset that compounds. Every year of staying boring online is another year that nobody outside your inner circle can accurately guess what you're worth, where you'll be next Tuesday, or which door to knock on. That privacy does not show up on a balance sheet. But ask anyone who has ever had a stranger show up at their front gate uninvited, and they will tell you it is worth more than the portfolio itself. There is a second layer to this that has nothing to do with danger and everything to do with peace of mind, and it might be the more important one long term. When your wealth is invisible, the people around you are forced to like you for reasons that have nothing to do with your bank account. Nobody is being extra polite because they've clocked the watch. Nobody is angling for a favor because they've done the math on your house. The quiet rich get to find out again and again that the friendships around them are real because there was never a signal for anyone to chase in the first place. That is a kind of certainty that money spent loudly can never buy, because loud money always leaves a small, permanent doubt about who actually likes you and who is simply orbiting the flash. Consider what this actually looks like on an ordinary Tuesday, because that is where the philosophy quietly proves itself. The stealth wealth household is not doing anything remarkable. Groceries, school pickup, a regular car in a regular driveway. Nobody watching from across the street can price this family, target this family, or resent this family for something they never saw. There is no audience, so there is nothing to perform for and nothing to defend. That flatness, that almost boring ordinariness, is not the absence of success. It is what success looks like once it stops needing an audience. So let's be honest about what has actually changed in 2026. It is not that money got less important. It is that visibility got more expensive. Every dollar you broadcast now carries a cost that used to not exist. A security cost, a social cost, a targeting cost, and the people who noticed first are the ones quietly rewriting what luxury even means. Quiet luxury brands continue to outperform many logo-heavy competitors, and interest in blending in keeps rising. Billionaires are paying 7 figures a year specifically to disappear. None of that is a coincidence, and none of it is a phase. It is a recalibration of what safety and status actually mean once everyone is carrying a tracking device in their pocket at all times. Here is the freeing part, and it applies whether you have $4 million or $4,000. You do not need billionaire-level security to benefit from this shift. You need one habit, repeated consistently. Stop broadcasting the details that make you a target and start letting your actual life speak for itself instead of your feed. Post the trip after you land back home, not from the airport gate. Let the plane car sit in the driveway without a caption. Let people find out what you're worth by knowing you for years, not by scrolling your account for 30 seconds. The version of you that nobody can price is also the version of you that nobody can rob, resent, or manipulate. That is not a small trade. That is the whole upgrade. The people chasing visible wealth are often spending real money to attract unnecessary attention. The people who are actually secure tend to look completely ordinary. An unremarkable car, an unremarkable social feed, an unremarkable Tuesday. The greatest luxury used to be proving you were rich. Today, the greatest luxury is never having to prove it at all. Somewhere on your street, someone has already figured that out. Tomorrow, they'll drive an ordinary car, walk into an ordinary coffee shop, and pass hundreds of people who never realize they're looking at real wealth. Wealth didn't disappear. In a world where everyone is watching, looking average has quietly become one of the most valuable assets money can buy. If this changed how you see the people around you, the next video breaks down exactly how to audit your own digital footprint, the specific settings and habits that quietly close the gap between looks average and actually is safe. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Before you go, I want to hear this one from you honestly. Have you ever posted something and immediately regretted how much it revealed? Or have you already gone quiet on purpose and noticed the difference? Tell me in the comments. I read everyone. And this conversation genuinely helps more people than you'd think.